When we look at our first money memory, many of us will remember something dealing with lack, shame, denial, because we carry that with us consciously or subconsciously. Each of us have some type of financial PTSD that we need to address. Because for those of us who don't address our mindset and our mindset shifts and address the financial PTSD, what we tend to do when we have more resources than we've ever had before, we spend our wealth and we wear our wealth on things that depreciate and have no value. We can like fine things, but have them work in our favor. So if we invest in Nike stocks, if we invest in Tiffany, instead of being consumers, we can be owners of these companies because we realize that it's time for us to control our own destiny.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast. I'm excited for this because we are back here and we are back with a phenomenal guest. We bring you the best of the best. But today, our guest has the receipts, over 20 years spent just on Wall Street alone. I'm so excited for this one. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Grace Vandecruze is here today. How are you?
Great. Thank you, Sean. It's so great to be here.
Listen, I'm excited for this. Our audience, they're always going through the show notes. They're probably right now on your LinkedIn page, probably trying to figure out, can Grace hire me? How can I work with her? But I want our audience to understand what you've accomplished in life. You're somebody who has went from homeless to millionaire. You've been collaborating with some of the best behind the scenes and helping expand so much for us. Tell our audience just a little bit about you and where you're from.
Absolutely. There's a Nigerian proverb and it says, wherever the stream flows, it never forgets its source. And my source of inspiration and strength and the broad shoulders on which I stand on here today is my grandmother. My grandmother had 9 biological children. And in spite of the limited resources that she and my granddad had, they found room in their hearts to adopt 5 sisters who had lost their mom. So my grandmother and grandparents raised 14 children. I'm one of 7. I'm second oldest of 7 children, and my grandmother had 52 grandchildren.
Wow.
But in this circle that we speak here today, I can assure you that I was her favorite. She made all of us feel like favorite, but with me, she and I had a special connection. And she learned to read because she grew up in Guyana, South America, and
Mhm.
she learned to read by reading the King James Version of the Bible. So she would look at me, hold my hand, stare in my eyes, and say, Grace, you have lengthened my years and you have blessed my eyesight. Such great love at such an early age, but her most treasured words to me were believe beyond your limits.
Mm.
My grandmother believed that your goals are going to be nothing mirroring your current circumstances. That when you plan your goals, your dreams, your visions, that you should look way beyond current circumstances, way beyond your imagination, because that's where your dreams, goals, and vision lie. So I just want to honor her today.
Man, listen, I love it. My grandmother is so special to me. And so I know how important it is to have that connection because I also feel as if our grandparents instill certain traits in us and we take those traits and we continue on with our family legacy. And one of the things I like about what you've been able to accomplish is you've been able to identify 6 keys to financial abundance. Tell us a little bit about that. I know it's something very important to you.
Sure. So, although I do have an MBA in finance from the Wharton Business School, I am a CPA as well. One of the things I've done is I've climbed over 25 mountain peaks in 3 different continents. I have climbed the equivalent of the Empire State Building stacked upon itself 67 times.
Wow.
And in my mountain climbing, one of the things I've found is that mountain climbing mirrors life more than anything else I've ever done. So when I thought of my book, I wanted to write something on financial empowerment that honored my grandmother because she knew how to use limited resources to its maximum potential. And I also wanted to make it so simple that anyone can follow it and have it to be a step-by-step approach with tools and resources at the end of the book that anyone can follow. So uplift is an inspiration for my mountain climbing, and it's you is understanding your financial history and background. P is pearls for planning. L is your lifestyle and creative ways of saving. I is investing and funding your retirement future, and F is funding retirement, and T is trust and estates and planning
Wow.
your will. And most importantly, leaving a lasting legacy.
But I want to talk about you, and the you really stood out to me because I know our audience right now is listening, and a lot of them, Grace, if I'm being honest, they do have no idea where their financials are right now, no idea of what their financial history is. Tell us a little bit about how can they understand what that is so that they can go on this journey.
Yeah, so what I wanted to do is give you a step by step approach, much like climbing a mountain, focusing your very first step. So, my book walked you through first start with your first money memory. Because when we look at our first money memory, many of us will remember something dealing with lack, shame, denial, some type of negativity towards your first money memory. And because we carry that with us consciously or subconsciously, each of us have some type of financial PTSD that we need to
Mm,
address. And this book is really walking us through how to address that and how to say, look, my history is my history, but I am here to carve a new money story of where I want my future to be and how I can really capitalize on the abundance that I have. Because most of us are sitting, we have entrepreneurial ventures, we have skills and expertise we're managing. We have an abundance of resources that only our ancestors could have dreamed about. So it's a matter of being intentional of how we spend, how we save, how we invest, and how we create wealth in this masterclass.
Oh, that's so good. One of the things that really stood out as you were talking that I thought about was some of those past stories we learned from our family members. It might have been our mom telling us that a shirt was too expensive. It might have been something that you wanted to have as a kid to play with that you just can never get. So I think it's so cool that you're starting off there because once you start to overcome those things, you start to realize, okay, this is where I'm at and I can change this. I'm curious for you. You've seen a lot of financial mistakes. Like, what will you say, or what would you help our audience understand in terms of avoiding costly mistakes that they're currently making?
Right. So very excellent question. Because for those of us who don't address our mindset and our mindset shifts and address the financial PTSD, what we tend to do when we have more resources than we've ever had before is that we go out and spend and flash on designer clothes and
Mm,
designer, and we spend our wealth and we wear our wealth on things that depreciate and have no value. The reality is that the wealthiest people in this world will not wear their wealth. You will see the wealthiest people in this world raising more money with with a simple turtleneck and with no design. And I think of one situation where a well-known rapper went into a financial wealth management firm to build his wealth, and they did a financial inventory, assessing where his assets are and where his liabilities mean, all the debt he owes and the assets. And when they were done, they were shocked because this person, the celebrity, came in with the finest of jewelry, adorned with the finest of designer clothes, head to toe dripping in wealth. And one of the advisors looked at him and said, "Oh my God." He is wearing his wealth because
mm.
after you witness all of what he owed on his assets, he really was not he really didn't have much wealth. So what I did in this book is say, look, we can like fine things, but have them work in our favor. So if we invest in Nike stocks, if we invest in Tiffany, if we invest in the designers that we love, in companies like McDonald's and Disney, and I showed in this book where these stocks are performing over a 5 and 3 year period, that we can actually, instead of being consumers, we can be owners of these companies.
Oh wow! Listen, I feel like if you are listening to this right now, we need to pass the collection plate because Grace is just giving it to us right now. And now I'm curious. I'm pretty sure the audience wants to know what are some creative ways to save.
Yes, there are several creative ways, and in my book, I talk about let's use the smartest computer we carry every day in our favor. So, how can we use our cell phones, which is the most valuable assets, and with the most data and information at our fingertips to
Mm,
our strength. So there are a number of apps that you can use that you can save automatically. One that I love is called Acorns. Acorns allow you to save automatically every time you use your debit or your credit card. In addition, you can also save monthly. Look, my son, who just graduated from university, started using Acorns when he was in his freshman
wow!
year, has just graduated, and he has over 30,000, yes,
Wow!
30,000 in savings as a result. And he was able to do that because Acorns have these promotions where if you refer people, you get anywhere between 50 to an extra $100. Well, he's on a campus,
Mm.
and part of his fraternity is all of the students. So he was a very popular guy to begin with. And so he really, really saved. And it's a way of really having the emergency savings that you need. In my book, I showed you a picture of my acorns because I want to be as transparent with my audience as possible. Every time we do a master class, it is look, let me hold your hands. Let me walk you through. Let me demystify what the financial markets are all about. Because if you and I turn on CNBC or any of the financial network, it may leave you more confused than when you first started looking. And so, because I've been on Wall Street, because I've helped companies raise billions, because I have advised on over 25 billion of transactions
Wow!
in my industry, I understand how the financial markets work. And I believe the measurement of success in my life is not what I learn, but what I teach and the impact I can leave for this generations and future generations to come. And this masterclass is my legacy, and I love to teach. Bring your questions and just be prepared to have the most simplistic, basic approach that is manageable, workable, and provable.
Oh man, I love this so much because we've had plenty of guests on our show, but not guests who have had the experience that Grace has had, the proven track record that you have had, and able to pour into our audience like this. So I highly appreciate you for being here, Grace. I mean, with so many different components to this that we're learning. We're learning that a lot of people, even our favorite rappers, might be wearing their wealth. We're learning how to save money. We're learning how to utilize apps like Acorns. So I got to ask you, Grace, a lot of people right now are already in our show notes. They're trying to figure out where can we sit down and learn. Tell me a little bit about this masterclass. How can we learn a little bit more? What is a website that we go to? Because I'm sure everyone is ready right now to become financially abundant and take on this message.
Absolutely. So it's the Wealth Wisdom Accelerator Masterclass, www.masterclass.com. You click on that, and it allows you to do a step by step approach. You will be part of a community where I will be there to guide you each step of the way. Look, this is your financial abundance mountain. And I know a lot about climbing mountain and reaching the summit. And I am here to guide you and give you the tools and harness you with the support that you need. In addition, my book, which is Homeless to Millionaire, can be found on Amazon. And it is going to be the simplest book you've ever read, but it's so profound. There are several stories in there. At the end of each chapter, there is an affirmation. It's almost like a daily prayer and daily affirmations that we can tell ourselves, because we are here to create a brand new transformative wealth building strategy that will be carry us from generations to come.
Oh, I love it. Listen, I want to ask you the question now that we've asked every single person that's ever been on this podcast. If you're asking yourself, if you were a person getting ready to walk across that stage, or perhaps already have your degree, ask yourself the question of the podcast: school's over, now what? What advice would Grace Vandecruze give?
Interesting. School's over. Now, what I think is, I believe our world is a classroom. Life gives us experiences. We learn more from our failures than our success. And school's over. Now, what is invest in yourself? This is why entrepreneurship in our community is in a bonanza, because we realize that it's time for us to control our own destiny. It is time for us to even control our own knowledge, to dismantle the noise and the past disempowering beliefs that we have, and grab a hold of the empowering strategies that can propel us forward, both personally, financially, spiritually, in the most successful growth process that we can have.
Oh man, listen, I absolutely love it, guys. Make sure right now, if you're listening to this, go ahead, head over to www.masterclass.com and get this information. And Grace, we appreciate you for being on the podcast. Right now, our audience wants to follow you. They want to go over and learn more about you. Where exactly can they go to stay in touch with you?
Yes, I'm on all the social media platforms, including LinkedIn and Instagram, Facebook at Grace Vandecruze, and www.masterclass.com is where you will find all the information you need to begin your financial journey.
Phenomenal episode, phenomenal guest. And for those of you that have been listening, I want you to always remember, dream it, believe it, go out and get it. Yo, what you think? I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I want to know what you learned. So if you wouldn't mind, would you take a screenshot of you listening to the podcast on your phone right now? Upload to your Instagram stories, tag me at SeanRAnthony_, and then let me know in that Instagram story what is one thing that you learned. I love hearing from you, my listeners, thought leaders, former or current students all around the world. Let me know, and while you're doing this, go inside the podcast app, subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and a 5-star rating. Again, this helps us reach more people. And if you want to be a part of this mission, helping us change the world one person at a time, it makes a massive difference by you leaving a review. Thanks so much. I'll see you next week. And remember, dream it, believe it, go out and get it.